Hello, everyone. You guys let me know if you can hear me. Welcome to the Final Takeaways 2025 Guyana's 2025 elections live stream. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm testing the mic. At this point, we have, I think, about 60 fans are already in the stream. Nathaniel Weeks was the first to join, and Soul Sanction, of course. We want to welcome all of you as we want to keep you posted on what's happening on the ground in Guyana today, September 1, 2025. This day that everyone has been waiting for and anticipating a very long time. So the day has arrived. The voters are out casting their ballots, and we want to bring you coverage, like we said, from Guyana, from the polling stations. We want to hear from voters. So far, based on what we've learned, everything is going smoothly, and people are excited to go out and vote for their parties. If you are tuning in from Guyana, from the United States, whichever part of the world you're tuning in from, we want to welcome you. And let me know if you're hearing me, please. Okay, Soul Sanction says he or she can hear me loud and clear. Okay, great. We want to welcome people like Ronella Johnson. I see, who else I see there? Okay. But we're going to be starting the live in about 5 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes. We are scheduled to start at 2:15 p.m. And we want to thank you guys for your support, for tuning in soon. We want to thank you if you are a subscriber, a regular viewer. We just want to let you know that we appreciate all of you as you help us to build our community here on YouTube, and as we continue to bring you news, analysis, and coverage from Guyana, not only with the elections, but for all of the things that we've brought you so far. And we will be continuing to keep a close eye on Guyana and the news and the government, and continue to provide you with updates on what's happening there. So looks like we have 4 more minutes before we start the live stream. Okay. Let me know if can you hear the music in the background. Of course, this is our first live. We thought that the best way to keep you updated on today's elections in Guyana was to do a live stream. We're going to be on throughout the day, all the way into the evening. So you can go, you can come back, make sure you participate. Let us know your thoughts. If you voted, let us know how that went. We don't want to know who you voted for, but you can feel free to share that with us too. And whatever else you want to ask us. Also, this is an opportunity for you to ask us questions about our channel, our coverage so far. Give us feedback, give us critique, and let us know, what you want to see us bring to you as well. If there's another particular aspect of the news coverage you'd like us to do, feel free to let us know. Today, we're here to talk with you guys. You guys tell us what you like, and you give us that feedback so we can improve on this channel, because nothing is perfect, and we want to keep our audience satisfied at all times. Okay. And I think we have 2 more minutes, so I'm going to speak with my tech guy and make sure that we all queued up to start with the first video live streaming out of Guyana. You're about to watch us live stream from Guyana, the 2025 elections. We have 6 parties contesting the elections. Officially, the People's Progressive Party, that's the incumbent, the ruling party, led by President Irfan Ali, who is running for a 2nd term. Then we have the opposition, the main opposition, and the other opposition parties. A Partnership for National Unity, the APNU, led by Aubrey Norton. We also have WIN, the We Invest in Nationhood Party, led by Azzuddin Mohammed. We have Forward Guyana Movement, which is led by Amanza Walton Desire. The ALP Party, led by Simona Brooms. And did I forget anybody? Oh, the AFC. The Alliance for Change, led by Nigel Hughes. So these 6 parties are contesting the election today, and we know for a fact that the PPP is vying for a second 5-year term in office under the Irfan Ali administration. We know that the opposition is trying to change that, and we, in our estimation, based on what we're hearing from the ground, the APNU and the Win parties are the two top opposition parties that are vying in this election to do some damage and potentially get some seats, as much seats as they can get, to either outrightly dominate in government or splinter the votes so that maybe potentially there is no landslide victory for the PPP. Now, we welcome all supporters here. We are bipartisan. We just bring the facts to you. We tell you like it is. We don't have any dog in this race. I like to say that we don't have any dog in this race. So wherever you are leaning politically, you are entitled to your opinion. We are not here to tell. No, we're not going to pronounce on that. So, but we want you to share your experience. We want you to share your thoughts as to whether you think what you think will happen. In fact, we could even do a little prediction game to see, how this turns out, who you predict will win the elections. Okay, it's very serious, and Guyanese are choosing a government to run the country for the next 5 years, and it's happening right now while the country is in a oil boom, and it's increasingly becoming a okay. Mike. Okay, so good. So we're ready to start the live stream. Let me check with my tech guy to make sure we're all queued up with our first live video coming out of Guyana.
What I see today.
We bring it. So we're going to start with some live coverage out of Guyana from Newsroom. So let's bring that in.
Them to think a little bit harder about their own futures and which political party offers the best choice for their prosperity at a personal level, whether it's education, healthcare, getting a job, owning a vehicle, owning a piece of land, and building a home. And I believe the PPP has outlined clearly a youth development plan that no other party can match in this country. Oh, this has been really, really phenomenal. If you go to our rallies, you see the energy at the rally. And a lot of that energy came from the youth, the young people associated with the party, young people of every race, every religion coming together. And it mirrors a bit of the work we did after the party's Congress, where we got together the largest youth movement in Guyana, a 15,000 strong youth movement of PYO members from all the regions of Guyana, made up of everybody, the people of every race, etc. That because that's what the party is about.
Dr. I know that the Trump had issued strong warnings against vote buying, and this morning we saw reports of Win activists in Providence within the security
I'm good.
offering monies to persons. Is this something that you're
Oh,
concerned about?
I did not see that. I saw a lot of rumors that they were spreading about the PPP, like, and I choose not to ignore those today. Today, I got up this morning and I wanted to be entirely positive about the day and about the future. And so I'm not going to dignify those rumors with detailed comments. Just to say they're dangerous, we had warned about this. Even in the last rally, I said, over the next few days, you will be subjected to these rumors. They're designed to do two things, to mislead voters and to also prepare themselves, an excuse for themselves when they face impending defeat. And but if there is a clear case where there is evidence of someone buying votes, then this is illegal. GCOM should take immediate action and call in the police on this matter. It should be done immediately. The intimidation will not work today, as we have seen across the country. The police have been doing a good job so far, and from all assurances we've been given, that the police and the army and everyone, they're ready, our security forces, to ensure people's lives and properties are protected, and we have a peaceful election day.
We've been hearing over the past couple of weeks. What do you have to tell people about it?
People are not ignoring this. APNU has waged a campaign of intimidation, calling people's names. First, it's about the PPP, a whole negative campaign going back into the distant past, resurrecting falsehoods from the past, focusing on racism. And then for the thousands of Afro-Ghanese who have supported the PPP, they chose, rather than to respect their choice, they chose to vilify them. And the other party has led a campaign of deception and subterfuge. So they would never give you a straightforward answer on a straight question. It is always in circles and then using a social media platform that is curated, that excludes others from commenting on their pages. So people can't go there and interrogate their positions. And so this is what we have had to contend with. On the other hand, we've spoken heavily about what we have delivered. We've spoken about our plans for the future, and we've spoken about the capability of our leaders to deliver on that plan. And we have spoken overall about national unity, bringing our people together. 4 simple messages to the voters. Thank you.
Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo, who's also General Secretary of the PPP, speaking there. Now we head to the village of Parima in Region 7, one of the most inaccessible villages in Guyana, inhabited by the Arikuna people, the only village where you can find the Arikuna people in all of Guyana. They're one of Guyana's 9 indigenous nations. To get to Parima, you take a direct flight from Ogle, or you can fly to Camarang and take a boat ride of several hours to get there. So just to get the elections material in had its own challenges. But what about voting today? We can now speak to Lee Williams, a longtime leader of the village of Parima, to find out how things went. Lee, thank you very much for joining us. Can you tell us how the voting went in Parima today, or if it's still ongoing?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Yes, the polling place opened at 6 direct, and we had a smooth process. The people turned out very early, and up to this time, people still on their way to the polling places. So far, the election process is smooth. No other challenges at this point in time.
Lee, can you tell us a little bit about your village?
Sure. Well, my village, Purima, is situated on the western side of the map to the border of Venezuela. That is the only Arecuna village in the whole of Guyana. And so we live in a unique village surrounded by mountains. We survive by farming, sustainable farming, and so we have a living. We do a farming for a living. And we also are into tourism, but because of our airstrip rehabilitation, we were unable to receive, but we have in the future still our clients still waiting. So very soon we should have our clients back on track in tourism.
And can you tell me what is the general attitude of people towards voting and elections in general?
Yes, we have a confidence in winning this election as a PPPC government based on our track record in Purima, where there was a lot of transformational progress in my village, particularly in different sectors: health, education, youth sports, and other infrastructures. So we are confident that we're gonna win this election.
And Lee, can you tell me about voting in the other villages in the Mazaruni? What the process was like today? Were there any incidents that you heard of?
No, I.
All right, guys. That was some coverage out of Guyana. You heard from Vice President Barra Jagdeo pretty much giving us an update as to what's happening on the ground. So far, so good. We haven't heard any issues in terms of unrest. There's a lot of talks about potentially, if there could be potentially be unrest. I believe that the Guyanese people have learned from the past. I want to think that they're mature. I want to believe that they're going to go out there and cast their ballots. They're going to be patient. You're going to be patient if you're one of those voters, if you're watching from Guyana and you're voted, that they're going to be patient and wait for the results to come out, and that Guyanese will exercise restraint, and that good sense will prevail, and that peace will prevail today regardless of the outcome. Again, we have the 6 parties that are vying in this elections, and it seems that the top 3 contenders are the PPP, the APNU, and the Win Party. Of course, we have the ALP, Forward Guyana. Before I get into talking politics, again, I would like to welcome all of you. I see someone says they're coming out of Florida. Andrew Giddings. Yes, I'm happy to be live today because let me tell you, I've had moments, I've had commenters refer to me as an AI, as a bot, not real and things like that. But I am a real person, and I am really happy to be communing with you guys and bringing the news, the analysis, and the coverage out of Guyana. Renee Holder, yes, welcome from New York, Queens, New York. We have Shelly Ray. I'm not sure what that comment is about. Okay, got you. And Mo Rashid, T. Muhammad for president. Renella John. Okay, we mentioned that already. And again, we are doing coverage all the way through today. The other thing is there are 10 regions. And as far as we know, I'm not sure if Forward Guyana is the only party that does not have ballots in all the regions. If you were following Forward Guyana, following the news, Forward Guyana, led by Amanda Walton Desire, that party had an issue with their ballots being excluded from certain regions. I'm not specifically, I can't say which one of the regions, which 3, but Forward Guyana movement, the party, the leader, they brought a case to the court, and I believe it was on Friday, the court ruled against Forward Guyana movement. And so the parties actually disenfranchised voters in those regions who wanted to vote for Forward Guyana, in essence, will be disenfranchised. And if we're speaking about a democracy and we're speaking about free and fair elections from the get-go, one could argue that that goes against the concept, the idea of free and fair elections in Guyana. We did a video over the weekend about whether or not Guyana can actually have free and fair elections. You can feel free to check that video out, as we covered the same issue with the Forward Guyana movement and some other points as to what constitute free and fair elections and whether or not Guyana was prepared to hold free and fair elections in 2025. Let me see if someone has any questions so far. We're going to skip over to another video soon, and we'll show you from a different perspective what's happening on the ground. Now, earlier this morning when I checked, most of the leaders, I think the leaders for all the parties, voted very early. So that's been squared away. If you are in Guyana right now, can you tell us what's the atmosphere there? What have you seen? How do you feel? And what are your expectations? Medical virtuosity. You really cracked me up with that comment. Okay. No, listen. Medical virtuosity. Okay. Slack bucked up for president. Now, when I saw that video with Vice President Barajagdio, I mean, that was a running joke for a long time, and I still want to know what that means. If anybody knows what that term means, let me know. I've heard a couple of things. But listen, it's a toss-up right now, and we have to wait until the votes are counted, the polls are closed, the votes are counted, and then, we might be having a different conversation. I don't believe they might be finished by this evening, maybe tomorrow, maybe by Wednesday. But I do know that there are international observers in Guyana from the European Union, the United States, the Carter Center, Jason Carter, I believe, the grandson of the late Jimmy Carter, who founded... Okay, guys, one second.
Cannot comment much on that, but so far I'm seeing there's a process still ongoing, but I cannot comment much on that.
Okay, thank you very much for talking with us.
Thank you.
Lee Williams there, speaking to us from the village of Parima, like you heard, very close to the Venezuelan border. Now, border communities are areas where the Ghana Elections Commission has installed polling stations, so in Region 7, like at Parima, and border regions like Etherington, which is closest to the Venezuelan border. There are also polling stations to the east as well, near the border with Suriname. This is the newsroom, and you're watching our live coverage of elections 20.
Lisa.
Lisa. Well, Lisa it will be. Thanks for being here, Dr. Opadai. You've been here long enough to know elections is a big, big thing in this country. And Lisa is quite young, but she would have had some experience with elections. So, first things first, to Lisa, did you vote?
I did.
Professor, you voted?
Yes, I voted.
Now, beginning with Professor, how did it go? Was it normal, serene? The polling booth was all right and everything went smoothly and it looks good for the rest of the day?
I happened to walk along with my friend who is visiting from Nigeria at this time, and he was pleasantly surprised that the polling process was very smooth. I have the screenshot of where I'm supposed to vote. I show it to the officers, and they tell me, go to the top floor and show them my ID card. They verify it, and they send me to the assistant polling station officer also, and this process was very smooth. It did not take more than 5-10 minutes.
Not even infinitesimal hitch or glitch?
No glitches, no glitches. I have my ID card, my name is on the list. They call out the number, they call out the name, and everybody took note of it.
But I know from when you go in, you give them the ID card that's across one table, and then they shout the name across another table. So the lady would have said, Jacob Opadai, and the people across the table would have said, can you repeat that? They didn't say that.
They didn't have to repeat that because he first of all called my number on the page, and everybody was ready for this special list sound name. And they said, oh, Opadai. I said, yes.
Well, how you got Jacob? Your parents were Christians?
My father was the first Christian in his family. And because he has to go to a Christian secondary school, primary school, he has to be baptized as a Christian to be admitted to that school. So he became the first generation of Christian. And according to the Anglican faith, you must be baptized. So really, Jacob is my second name. It's not my first name.
No, so I know you're Jewish as Jacob. Everybody really know you're Jacob.
Yes.
Everybody in Guyana, because of the gold thing, Dr. Jacob Opadai. So what's your first name?
My first name is...
Let me see if I could pronounce that. I'll try.
Oh, very easy. Shegun.
What?
Shegun.
Shegu?
Yeah.
Shegu, welcome to Guyana.
Thank you. I didn't even...
Shegu, you know his first name was Shegu?
No, I'm learning that today.
How do you spell Shegu?
S-H-S-E-G-U-N.
S-H-E-G.
Using English alphabet.
You pronounce the N, Shegun.
Yeah, Shegun.
Shegun, I thought it was Shegu. Shegun, you know the famous former Vice Chancellor and Goldman was Shegun?
I did not.
Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I am not going to call him Professor or Dr. Opadai the rest of this program. Shegun, tell us what it's like driving around, if you have been driving around. And is it calm in Georgetown?
Well, I've been doing my drive around since Friday. And on Saturday, I drove around to see how people are enjoying the election season. Because the election season in Guyana is a time to enjoy, because it provides the platform for exchange of views, for everybody to lay down their card on the table, and for people to wisely choose who they want to vote for. My friend made a comment that if it was in Nigeria, the lines would be so long.
All right, guys, we're back with the audio here. We're trying to fix some slight technical difficulties. I'm going to skip over to another live stream in just a moment. We're going to go to another another live stream to see what they're bringing. In the meantime, I'm looking to see if I can pull some information from the Department of Public Information in Guyana as to what is the preliminary what's happening on the ground, and see if we can bring you some preliminary information as to what's happening. I want to again welcome all of you
inviting
Sky Blue,
Yes,
Sky
I
Blue
would
Dreams.
definitely say that. And quite interestingly,
Welcome.
I had the opportunity to take my
We have
niece,
Soul
who is a
Sanction
first-time
who will
voter
be moderating.
this
So
year,
if you have any
and
questions, you could direct your question.
her
And Soul
enthusiasm, she was
Sanction,
so
who is
excited about
a
the
part of our
process and
team, is
everything, and
going
when we
to
let
try
her,
and answer some of your
Auntie was
questions.
so
If you have a
smooth, it was
question
so
directly for
easy.
me,
I thought more
let
had
me
to
know.
be
But I'm
done.
going to
So
try and navigate
we had
to
a
the
very
next
good time.
video
The
for
good
you
thing is
in
that our polling station
a
was
moment
in
here.
an open
This
area, so it was breezy, it was serene, calm.
Okay, let's see
no
what we
long
got
lines.
here.
We were out there in 2 minutes, so I did.
Soul Sanctium. My bad. Okay, so we heard from Vice President Jack Dio. Let's see. Let's go to see what APNU. Let's go here. Let's hear what was happening here with the APNU. Yes. So we are going to listen from the APNU's broadcast with Aubrey Norton to see what are his
so that the country can manage the resources
initial feelings, his what's happening on the ground from his point of view.
Shared governance is part of what is consociational democracy.
Okay.
And there are various types of shared governance. So to just say shared governance, for instance,
we're going to listen to Aubrey C. Norton, who was speaking about the idea of shared governance, which would be a coalition.
A certain percentage
of
the opposition, a certain
I'm going to let you listen, and then I'll
that
continue
is a good
with the
mechanism to ensure that there is
commentary.
compromise and consensus. But people tend to restrict power sharing to sharing of government positions. There are a number of approaches to shared governance. I embrace shared governance as a concept, but will be very meticulous as it comes to which one of the systems of shared governance we will use, or if we will come up with a hybrid, a kind of an eclectic approach where we pull from.
Thank you.
Mr. Norton, can we have a photo with your finger, please?
I didn't even remember it.
So there you have it, Aubrey C. Norton letting us know that he did vote. Hopefully he voted for his own party.
Well, in the first case, when you do not vote, you are going to allow people to make decisions for you without your input. And so the first thing I would say to young people is look at the manifestos, look at the policies, and then make a decision as to where to vote. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say to young people, that if you become estranged from the political process, you will not be able to impact it. Our slate had a plethora of youths who have impacted our manifesto and the decisions we would have made. So for me, it's a critical element of democracy for people to vote. But remember, democracy has two elements. One is procedural. This is procedural. Then there is the substantive. After you get government, how you govern, the governance issue. And I would say to young people, you have to look at both possibilities and vote in a way to reassure yourself that those who come to power will really and truly make democracy substantive rather than the parochial thing we got here, in which there's clearly straight elements of authoritarianism and dictatorship, and that cannot be in consonance with democracy.
One more time with your finger, sir. One more time with your finger.
Is it your phone in good of you?
And this start is both places for me.
I never put it high. That's it.
Thank you.
Good.
All right. You heard him there. And as you know, Mr. Aubrey Norton could easily be the next president, and we're hopeful of this cooperative oil producing republic of ours. And the team have been advising folks to get out there and vote resoundingly, of course, you know, for who. That being said, folks, I want to touch base with some of the folks here in the mining town of Linden, where we are, and then we're going to talk to some other folks elsewhere as well, at least one other person elsewhere outside of the mining town of Linden. Let us take you now to the regional chairman, Deron Adams, and also we're going to talk just after Deron. I think you're going to hear from the mayor. And both of them voted early here this morning. Folks, as I say, share the live for us, so as many persons as possible get their violent credit information. Smash that emoji button for us as well. Darren Adams, the chairman of Region 10, and also Sharma Solomon, His Excellency, the mayor of Linden here. Mr. Chairman, you've just emerged from the polling place. You've casted your ballot, no doubt. How was the experience for you?
All right, good morning, Sherrod and members of the media and CN. Generally, voting appears to be smooth. I had no hiccups. I observed the process. I think at Mackenzie High School here, if every other station across the country emulates what is happening here, we can see a possible smooth elections. You can't use your cell phones. There's a special desk there dedicated for persons to rest their phones. And so the agents and the GCOM staff are able to observe whether somebody may attempt to use such or so. But initially this morning, before coming here, I had to interact with the returning officers because there were some hiccups in terms of GCOM personnel not allowing certain agents into the polling place based on the color of their T-shirt that they were wearing. But the returning officer was quickly able to intervene and remedy that.
Are you hearing any reports of presiding officers who might not be turning up this morning? Or any GCOM staff?
Yeah, I haven't got any such reports in Linden. It appears as though all of these things have been manned by GCOM staff here in Linden. I haven't gotten any such report.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
Is there any comparative difference between your experience today and back in 2020?
Not much of a difference. As I said, things appear to be going smoothly here. Persons are allowed to go in one at a time. You cast your vote. You are not allowed with your cell phone. You leave quietly, and the process is similar to that of 2020. All right, I hope that it continues like this throughout the day. I ask that our people remain vigilant. As you get closer to the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock hour, there's those who may try to create mischief, and so I ask that everyone remains vigilant during this entire process. Yeah.
The ink is not too visible. Let me just get a shot.
Alrighty, guys. So we're going to skip over now to you've just heard from Norton and Sherrod Duncan, who is a journalist at Credible Sources, I believe, and also he is now a member of the APNU. We're going to skip over to hear from President Irfan Ali. He and the First Lady were out earlier voting, and he stopped and spoke with the media. So we'll tune in there to hear what Ali has to say, or had to say, about today's election process so far.
And the process itself, I know we had concerns when I went in terms of.
He was fired just 3 weeks before he was set to retire.
And now he's becoming an industry whistleblower. Kate Jennings.
As you can see, the president has just entered the Lenora School to cast his vote. As you know, today is election day in Guyana. There's a high media presence here, witnessing the president enter into the area to cast his vote. He will be out shortly.
Alrighty, that was the reporter out of Trinidad and Tobago, Ian Allen. We did a video on him recently when he came to Guyana and was speaking to Azruddin Mohammed about the sanctions, and I think it was in Kartabo in the Kuyuni Mazaruni area. Anyway, let's listen to Irfan Ali.
So what do you think about the turnout today?
So it's early in the day, but as we had said in our message to our supporters, we did everything to plan a fantastic campaign. We ran very positive campaign, a campaign based on track record, a campaign based on trust, commitment, one that was based on unity and our country moving forward together. Now, as we said, the final part of this of this journey, the victory, is for all our supporters to come out and ensure that they cast their vote, and continue to encourage all of them to ensure that before the day is out, they come out in their numbers and cast their vote and seal this victory.
You're confident about the victory?
Very much so, very much so. Very confident about the victory. You saw the campaign we ran, the numbers speak for themselves. But as I said, sealing the victory is important, and that requires all our supporters to come out and ensure that they seal the victory with their vote.
Mr. President, last evening there was that incident last evening with the officers assisting in the transfer of those ballots with the boats and coming down the fire from the folks in Venezuela. How concerning is that? What updates can you share this morning?
So, you know, first of all, it is concerning. We have had the fire from the Venezuelan side a number of times in the last couple of months. So, of course, it's concerning. The security forces are on full alert. They have the strength and they're ready. They have the equipment, and we have to understand the threat of Venezuela. We have been speaking about this throughout the campaign, that Venezuela is a threat, and we have to look at every single connection to that threat, and the security forces are on top of it.
What plans do you have to beef up the capacity of the GDF and the police in that area of Guyana?
Well, without going into details, I can tell you that the Guyana Defense Force has beefed up its not only troop, but they are in a better position. We've invested a lot, as you know, in the military. So I'm confident with what they have on our borders and the systems they have in place.
And do you support the removal of Mr. Maduro with the systems that he...
Well, we're not going to get into that today. Today is a beautiful day. We are voting for victory today.
But yourself and Prime Minister Trinidad and Tobago have endorsed the operations by the U.S.
I have made it very clear that Guyana, we support democracy. We will support anything to eliminate any threat to our security in terms of not only our sovereignty, we view our sovereignty very seriously, but also we live in a region that all of us must come together to fight transnational crime, to fight illicit drug trade, and we will support every effort to smash the illicit drug trade and transnational crime. We have to be part of every effort to tackle transnational crime. And wherever transnational crime is, whilst I've said this, we have always said consistently that this region must remain a zone of peace, and we will do everything to ensure that this region remains a zone of peace and support every effort to ensure that this region remains a zone of peace.
Do you plan to give better boats and better technology to the soldiers who patrol?
Well, Shabral, I think you're behind time a bit. If you follow the investment we're making, I can't speak about the type of investment from a military perspective that we'll be making, but I can tell you we've made serious investment in the military, and they're far better equipped as I speak to you now.
Mr. President, in the event that the election results should go your way and the other side display a certain type of behavior to create some level of unrest, because that is a concern that persons in the Caribbean have right now. What are your plans?
Listen, we have said very clearly that these elections must be peaceful, and we must all accept the will of the people. This is part of democracy, accepting the will of the people. And the security forces have said very clearly, very, very clearly, that should anyone step out of line, and step out of line in terms of the law, that they're prepared to deal with that. So I leave that in the hands of the security forces.
Mr. President, a picture of your next week.
Madam President. Camera step back, microphones push back. So just have it too. Thank you. Thank you.
Can she look us up, please? Thank you, guys.
Okay, evidence that President Irfan Ali and the First Lady have voted. Hopefully, they've voted for the PPP. This is definitely a very important day for Guyana. A lot of people are on edge, I would like to say, not knowing what to expect, because for the first time, I believe, in the history of Guyana's politics, there is a third party that is actually a potential threat to the incumbent ruling party. So I am sure that as much as the PPP is confident that it will turn out its support base and that the supporters will show up for them and vote overwhelmingly for the PPP, I'm sure there's still nerves and they're still on the edge because they have to deal with two opposition parties, the APNU and the Win Party. Of course, the other parties to the ALP, the Forward Guyana, and the AFC, they also could pick up votes that could also deepen the splintering of the votes across the board. So we want you to tell us what you think. What do you think is going to happen? Is there going to be a major upset when the votes are counted and the results are out? And will there be acceptance
All right,
if
this
there
feels
is a
almost
change?
illegal to know, but our windows were
Let's
so...
pause this for a moment. Do you think that if there is a new winner or there is no landslide victory, how do you think the ruling party is going to deal with a situation like this? Because they have expressed extreme confidence in winning this elections. We have looked at the polls again. It's not like the United States or other first world countries where they have like polling agencies that actually do these polls ahead of time. So we can't say for sure that whatever polls came out for this particular elections in Guyana, that those polls were accurate. But there is the Jambi polls I've mentioned in one of my videos that says there will be, you guys can expect something different, and that there is a potential that the Win Party is going to heavily splinter the votes and that the Win Party can pick up a lot of seats, which will obviously take seats from the ruling party. And we cannot forget the main opposition party that has a strong support base, the APNU, led by Aubrey Norton, who is the leader of the PNCR. And of course, this is pretty much a brand new party because it's a new leader and it's running on its own. It's not running with the AFC like it ran the last elections when Granger was in office. So a lot of things are new in this particular election. And the wild card that we keep talking about is Azzuddin Mohammed. And a lot of people across the world that are interested in Guyana's elections are actually tuned in to see what is going to happen today. Today is the day for voters to decide who they want to govern the country for the next 5 years. We want you to jump into the comment section and share your views with us. I'm going to try and do some moderation, see if I can respond to your questions as we queue up the next video that we want to bring you out of Guyana, give you an idea from different perspectives what's happening on the ground. I see AFC presidential candidate Nigel Hughes and Miss Kathy Hughes, his wife, spoke to the media earlier today, and we want to bring that in and let us hear what he had to say. Okay.
Absolutely. I call on my sisters, step forward. Again, you would see that we came up with an innovative idea of a bank for women, a women's bank. And that's because we've done our research. We spoke to them in our listening and grounding sessions, which started a year ago. And we know that the majority of women are keeping our families standing despite the challenges of cost of living. They're the ones that are doing small businesses that are doing well. And if they just had an opportunity to raise the level, they could do so much more for Guyana. So we've had a special focus on our women and also our young people. We've recognized that the Guyana education system has failed them. When you have so many young people, 48% dropping out before they even could get into high school, that's not a problem with the family or the children. The problem is with the system that's teaching them. And therefore, the fact that we have come up with a skills training program that gives them a stipend, that will give them tools at the end of it, and also a unit that will match their skills and training with a job. You know, we've made sure we've done the full circle. Too many young people have gotten the certificates and then sit down and get frustrated because they can't get a job. So we're excited. I think, not.
Okay, I think we lost some sound there. So we're going to go back and try to queue up the next video here. So you just heard from the opposition party leader, Nigel Hughes, and that's his wife, Kathy Hughes. They are long-standing political stalwarts in Guyana. The AFC, of course, is running by itself this year after coalition talks between the APNU and the AFC parties fell through. They couldn't decide on who will be the presidential candidate, the vice presidential candidate, etc., etc. So they basically decided that they're going to run on their own. We don't know if there's a possibility for a coalition after the fact, after the votes are counted. But I'm not sure if that can happen on the day of election. I have to consult the electoral laws to see if that can happen. But I believe, yes, I believe a coalition can still happen after the fact, after the votes have been casted. So let us know what you think. We're going to probably take a look at the manifesto. Maybe you already know which party is promising what. And everybody has laid out their manifestos, all the parties, all the promises. At the final takeaway, we present a critical point of view. We like to look at things from a different perspective, and promises are promises until they actually come through. So anyone could promise you anything. Any party could promise the people anything at this point when they want your vote. But it's up to you to believe that whatever promises are being made are actually going to be fulfilled by the individual parties. You've had at least, for those of you who are voting for the last 5 or 10 years, have at least an idea how the ruling party performed for the last 5 years, and that's the People's Progressive Party. What if you can take your mind back to 5 years ago in 2020? What did they promise you, and did they fulfill those promises? Have you been left satisfied that they've done, if not everything they promised to do, they've done at least 50% or 75% or 85% of what they promised, or did they fail you? If you voted for the PPP in the last election, how do you feel? Do you feel like you've been duped? Do you feel that there were empty promises? Are you, do you feel like maybe you want to try another party, give another party a chance? They are, of course, die-hard political supporters of all the parties, and regardless of what a party does, even if it makes promises and it does not satisfy that promise or those promises, the diehard fans, the diehard supporters are going to continue to support their party. And when we have the results of this election, and based on the statistics, we might be able to learn, whether there's a shift in terms of ethnic voting, if there's a shift from one party to the next. And we do know that the PPP is predominantly, their supporters are predominantly from the Indo-Guyanese communities. As for the Win Party, for example, we see, ethnicities on both sides. Now, we don't want to talk about ethnicity today, but because a voter is a voter, a vote is a vote. Regardless, you, the people, will decide today. And I want to go back to what Hughes just said. Imagine blackout on the day of voting day. There's blackout. That's the first thing he said. Well, it's Guyana, and it's not a perfect system. And blackout, it happens. It happens. Actually, there are times people, I have been told, you can go for days without, having any loss of electricity. So, but today of all days, I think yes, but things are going to happen. There are going to be some hiccups. What's important is that the voters get out and cast their ballots. And remember, polls close at 6 p.m. today. So I'm not sure if I think this is a holiday in Guyana today. So there's no work, there's no school. You have the entire day to get to your polling station and cast your vote for your party. If you don't vote, your vote doesn't count. Okay. So if you don't vote, you can't come back and say anything as far as I'm concerned, because that's your power. The power is in your vote. So I encourage all of you to not take this elections day lightly. Do not depend on the rest of the population to vote for you. You have to vote for yourself, because every vote counts. Okay? And this is a very tight election. And we were hesitant about making a video trying to do a prediction as to who we think, based on all the information we have from this end, who we think would, as a prediction, is likely to win the election. We didn't do that video. We didn't do it. But, we can say, I think, with some level of confidence, that it's going to be not the outcome many people are expecting. We don't suspect, based on everything that we know, that there will be a landslide victory. There is a potential, if the incumbent party, the ruling party, gets back in power, potentially they can get back there as a coalition. Now, that's another conversation, but just note that and let that sink in, okay? Let me get to the other video. Let's see what else we want to bring you from Guyana. I think we're having some, okay, good. Yes, let's see what else we can bring you out of Guyana. What's happening right now. We heard from Barrett Jagdeo already. We heard from AFC. We heard from Norton a little bit. Maybe we can go to something a bit controversial. You guys want to hear from critics? Maybe we can hear from the local people. What are their experience today in Guyana?
So
okay.
People don't know. Me,
this particular station here is not uncensored, so yes. Let's hear what's happening on the ground. We are tuned into Guyanese
so let me come to me. Tell me when we come
critics. Guyanese critics.
So guys, I'm live coming to you from just outside of Eccles Nursery School on the east bank of Demerara. We just left Albaistown. I hope I'll see where's the situation in some places, but don't be daunted. Come out and vote, no matter who you're voting for. You understand? I'm telling you, I wish you voted for progress, the continued progress that I vote for. I tell you who I vote for. But no matter who you're voting for, you need to be a part of this process. So I'm walking down, I'm seeing this madam with her phone and she videoing and so on. So she watches, she said, she looking at me like she recognizes. She said, Critic, you gotta tone it down. And I had to explain to her why I do what I do. But this is not about me today. This is about you, the voter. You voted.
Yes, I voted. Because
you're living here all the time?
Yes, we have to be in control of our country. We have to, whatever things we can do as citizens, we need to take that right and take it seriously and activate that right. Like you said, you're not telling people who they gotta vote for, but they need to come out and do that, because you can't have to say, well, this is happening, it's not going that way, why are they doing that? If you didn't vote, you need to zip your lip and keep moving.
Tell me something. Tell me something. Are you satisfied with the way things are going in Guyana presently?
There can always be progress. We can always do better.
Do better, human
we can
beings.
always do better.
That is actually, people don't know. That's the foundation for evolution.
No country is always perfect and at their greatest. There is always room for improvement, particularly because there's always another generation coming up. So we need to set the example for what they need to do when they take over the reins. So we can always do better.
Beautiful.
So we can always do better.
Beautiful. Thank you, ma'am, for your input, and thank you for your advice.
Right.
I can tell they got days. They got some good days and I got some bad days. Nonetheless, I know my heart is in the right place and I keep doing it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
So guys, I hope we could go to a drone shot of the bridge. Do we have the Demerara Harbor Bridge in sight? Give them a drone shot of the bridge. Let me see what, oh my God, what amazing look like. Show Guyanese what amazing looks like. When you come out and vote today, this is what you're voting for: continued progress, right? This is what you're voting for. What are we doing? I want to get to see the bridge closer before I reach 100. Yeah, going fast. Show them the progress. Show them the progress. So again, come to me quickly and then we're going to go back to the bridge. Let me show you the progress. Let me show you more progress. School, nursery school, right? New fire station. This was not always here. New fire station, new fire tenders, making the Guyana fire service more efficient. New fire, let me see when this building, fire station, Page Robeson Bend, on the 1st, 2022, just recent. And run for, if you're running, going and coming back.
Alrighty, that's Guyanese Critic doing what Guyanese Critic does.
I could take you
the
to
usual.
every corner of this country.
We heard
And
from
even
one
the
voter, I
grass going
believe,
greener, I'm telling you.
uttering
Even
the
the
same
grass
sentiment.
going greener.
If
That mean they got
you don't
nourishments in the
vote,
earth.
if you do not go out and
Don't stop
vote,
the
your
progress.
vote
Let me go
doesn't
back to
count.
the live footage
Therefore,
of the
your
drone.
voice didn't count, okay?
The drone
But
footage of the bridge.
it's not hard and fast like that. You can still have an opinion whether or not you vote, okay?
Let me see.
We're going to skip
Show
over
them
to
what
see
amazing is like. Oh my
what's
God, we did the
happening
same spot.
over
I thought
at,
you were gonna go to the bridge
I'm
itself,
trying to
man.
get something out of,
You're losing signal, all right.
out of,
Safe. Back away and let me roll.
let's see what we
Guys,
have over here.
we're going and get jacked.
Okay, we're gonna look at the chief of electoral mission of the OAS. That's the
Music
Organization
and
of American States.
video and the-
I believe they are observing the elections in
won't
Guyana.
believe it, but I literally
So we're
wear
gonna
this
skip over
cargo
there
pants
and we're
7
going
days a
to
week.
hear what they have to say in terms
Flex
of having
Rover.
an impartial perspective
Well, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to
on what's
speak to you
happening on the ground in Guyana right now.
what we have observed,
This was a bit earlier, but
down the
yes, let's
road.
listen to what he has to say.
The OAS teams are
He's the
in-
chief of the
are on
electoral mission
ground
of the OAS,
in
Bruce
7 of the
Golding.
10 division, region. So far this morning, we have been able to visit 340 polling stations. We're going to be continuing that effort and we'll be visiting more polling stations as the day progresses. Our observations are that, by and large, things have been moving smoothly. All of the polling stations that we visited, with the exception of one, opened promptly on time, and that one had a difficulty because when they started out, they didn't have the screen for the polling compartment. But that was quickly corrected and they got the polling station going. All of the required polling officials, the presiding officer, the assistant presiding officer, the poll clerk, the ballot clerk, all of them were in place. All the materials that were required, with the exception of the one I just mentioned, were in place. So generally we were satisfied that the polling exercise started out, and up to the last visit that we made and the last report that we got, everything has been proceeding in an orderly fashion. I was particularly impressed. I myself visited 62 of those 342 polling stations this morning, and I was particularly impressed at how professional, how well trained the polling officials appeared to be. They knew what they were doing. They were not hesitant in applying the relevant rules and guidelines. And all told, things have been going well. There's one little discrepancy that we saw. I'm not sure if I should call it a discrepancy. In some polling stations where we visited, the polling compartment, the screen, was fixed in such a way that it faced the wall, so that you couldn't see from outside how a voter voted. In some of the polling stations, we noticed that it was the opposite, where it was turned around. And when I inquired why that was so, I gather it was in relation to this effort to prevent voters from photographing their ballots, so it was put in such a way that the officials and the party agents would be able to see whether anybody was, fiddling with a smartphone. I don't blame that on the presiding officers. There seems to have been some lack of clarity in the instructions that they were given. But certainly the instances that I observed, once a person went there with their back to everybody else, it would be difficult, if not impossible, to see how the person voted. So I believe that where that occurred, it was more out of an abundance of caution rather than any attempt to circumvent the process. At all of the polling stations that we visited, there were party agents in place. In most cases, at least 3, and in some cases more, so that the party seemed to have been quite vigilant in ensuring that they had, the ability to scrutinize the process. We did see some lines, not very long, but I would think in some of the cases that I visited, there perhaps would have been close to 20 persons in the line. But I didn't get the impression that any of them was growing impatient. They seem to have been waiting patiently. And the process for getting them into the polling station, checking their ID cards, and allowing them to vote was moving smoothly. We're going to continue for the rest of the afternoon, looking at the polling station, seeing whether things continue to proceed on that track. And then we are going to be present at a number of the tabulation centers this evening after the votes. Well, we're going to be witnessing at as many polling stations as we are able to cover the actual counting of votes and the preparation of the statements of vote. And then we will move to the tabulation centers, as many as we can cover, to watch the tabulation process. We don't know how long that will take. We don't know how far into the night that will go. But we're going to drink some black coffee and stay there as long as we need, because we want to see the process through the completion. So all told, I think the people of Guyana deserve to be congratulated on the peaceful, disciplined way in which they have gone out to cast their ballots. I think certainly the polling officials who are representing GCOM also need to be congratulated on the very professional way in which they have been carrying out their duties. And I expect that the rest of the process will attract the same kind of discipline, orderliness, and professionalism. So thank you very much, and I ask you to continue to give good coverage to this important exercise in Guyana's democracy.
Sir, are you able to compare what the mission has observed so far with the conduct of the poll in 2020?
Very similar. When we were here in 2020, at this stage of the game, things were moving orderly. we saw the same professionalism. We saw the party agents on the job. We saw lines.
All right, guys, we were listening to Bruce Golding. He is a certified international observer with the OAS, the Organization of American States, giving his commentary as to how he feel about what has transpired so far with the elections on the ground. He said he traveled around to many polling stations. He observed the process at various polling stations. Overall, minus any minor hiccup, he is satisfied as an international observer that the process is going smoothly and that things are going along as expected. He commented on the professionalism, the professionalism of the staff at the polling stations, which is testament to the training that they received, following the protocols, the procedures, in ensuring that there is a smooth process for voters that are coming in to cast their ballots. So we're going to talk a little bit about the importance of the international observers to Guyana for the elections. As I mentioned earlier, we have observers from the European Union and the United States, maybe some from the Caribbean as well. The role of international observers in Guyana's 2025 elections is to provide an independent and impartial assessment of the electoral process against international standards. Now, we do know that Guyana is a developing country and it may not have all the bells and whistles like, say, the United States, that in terms of its ability to prepare for elections. But it doesn't mean that with whatever systems Guyana has currently, that they weren't able to use those systems to give, to provide the best setting for these elections to happen, to conform with free and fair elections protocols, transparency, accountability, all of those factors. And we believe that despite absent things like biometrics for fingerprints, facial ID, whatever, and the issue with the allegations of Guyana going into the elections with a bloated voters list, despite those two main things and any other minor stuff or any other important matters that were necessary to be addressed before the elections, that they will not impact the outcome of these elections in terms of free, fairness, and transparency. So again, the observers' missions from the Commonwealth, the Carter Center, the OAS, the Organization of American States, all of these international observers come to Guyana when there's elections to help build public confidence in the results, and in elections like this where it's highly competitive and the race could be close, Guyana needs the international observers now more than ever. And the key roles for those observers are to assess electoral standards, to monitor the entire process, observe voting and counting the ballots, engage with the stakeholders, the party leaders, the media, to issue findings and recommendations after the elections. I remember hearing Jason Carter, who is from the Carter Center, again, Jimmy Carter's grandson, who has now, taken over and is running the Carter Center. He says the Carter Center hopes to provide a preliminary report by September 3rd, 2025. That would be on Wednesday. Yes, and so all of these things, when you have the international observers coming in to observe the elections, it helps to increase transparency, helps to build confidence in the public in the results of the elections, encourage patience during tabulation, because we don't know how long it will take for the votes to be counted. Hopefully it's shorter than the last election cycle. And of course, the international observers will make notes and they will make recommendations for reform for the next election cycle. Okay, so we just heard from Bruce Goldin. We're going to switch over to the EU Chief Observer, Robert Bidron. I'm not sure that sounds like French, but he has provided an update as to what he has seen so far on
Good
the
morning,
ground
everyone,
in Guyana.
and thank you very much for coming to this press point. And it's a very important day for Guyanese democracy, and I'm very proud that European Union's election observation mission is present here during this E-Day, and I want to wish you all the best for that. As you all know, today we as European Union Election Observation Mission, we have 50 observers observing the elections in many villages and towns all across Guyana, in all regions. Our observers are present today observing this important part of Guyanese democracy. We are gathering information and, as you know, observing the elections. And with this, we are present from the very early morning during these elections, witnessing not only the opening of the stations across the regions, but also we will be present during whole process until this process ends. So we will be we witnessed the opening. Now we are observing the voting process, but we will be also at the tailoring and transmitting the information. We also, while collecting this information, we are transmitting our findings to our statistical hub, a special hub which we established here in Georgetown, where we gather all the information. You can imagine with 50 observers who are very active observing these elections in many parts of Guyana, we collect a lot of information. And this information is collected within our statistical hub here in Georgetown. This will give us a very clear picture from the voting process from all the regions of the country. We are really very well prepared. I just remind you, this is the biggest compoundment of the observers which observe these elections. It's 50 of us. And we are also being equipped with our specialists on different fields, also analyzing all the gathered information. This morning, as some of you witnessed, I was also observing the opening process in one of the polling stations here in Georgetown, and I will continue visiting the polling station throughout the days. I just visited, I think, the fourth or the fifth one, where the elections are going on. In the evening, together with other observers around the country, will follow the process of tabulation in all regions of Guyana to have also, again, a comprehensive picture. I would like to stress something what is very important, and it's worth to stress again. We are here to observe the elections. We provide impartial, factual reports which are very valuable, I believe, for this country. Our presence aims to contribute to a better understanding of the electoral process and over time support its improvements. This is something we very much value all across the globe, that we believe in these democratic processes, which is also Guyana part of. We are here not to interfere in any processes. I want to stress it very hard, but we are witnessing and sharing the finding in transparent and very professional manner. On behalf of our mission, let me say something very important, which you as citizens and the nation, Guyanese nation, deserve very well. We want to wish you a peaceful and joyful election day. It's very important for us to say it, because we are here for a while already, for quite a long, and we really keep fingers crossed for the peaceful and joyful election, a day to celebrate democracy, a day where voters are able to make their free and well-informed choices through casting their vote to the ballot. Finally, I would like to invite you all for our press conference, which will be held 3rd of September at 11 o'clock in Pegasus, where we will show our preliminary findings of the elections, and after that, in 2 months, we will have full report with recommendations. But this press conference on 3rd of September will be the first comments on the electoral process in Guyana. And I want to thank you for coming today. And if you have any questions, I'm for your disposal now.
What did you think about the 4 places you visited since morning? What can you say about the processes there?
Well, I cannot comment, Madam, on now. We are collecting the information, we are observing. So while the process is going on, our mandate, and you understand that very well, does not allow us to comment on that. But we are gathering information, we are collecting information. It's very detailed, our forms are very detailed. So you will be informed about anything what's going on and anything we observe. So there will be more information provided when all the voting process is finished.
All right, guys, so you just heard from Robert Bidron, head of the European Union Elections Observer Mission to Guyana for this cycle of elections in the country. He also mentioned, like I said earlier, their mission is planning to give a preliminary report on their observations and findings on today's elections. As they observe the electoral process for the rest of today. At this point, I want to thank the 300 and counting people that are in the stream right now. We are truly happy that you guys took the time off to join us. We're going to be streaming throughout the day. I've set aside the entire day to be here with you all the way to midnight into tomorrow. Of course, I gotta sleep, but we're on it, and we're going to bring you, if there's any mishaps, any hiccups, anything major, we're keeping our ears to the ground so we can be one of the first to tell you what's happening. But so far, it seems that everything is calm, which is great. That's good news. Short of some issue that happened, I think it was yesterday, with some ballot boxes that were being taken into the interior region. There were some issues with allegedly some type of interaction with individuals from the Venezuela side of the border. That was ironed out. GCOM issued a press statement and said that situation was sorted out with the ballot boxes because voters were concerned. We heard, a lot of speculations, but short of any evidence saying that there were some issues affecting those ballots getting into the region for the voters to vote, it seems that everything was sorted out. We're going to be queuing up our next video. And if you have a question, we have our moderator again, Soul Sanctium, who is doing a great job ensuring that he responds to all your questions. We want to welcome, there is Bass who says, in TNT had 5 parties in Trinidad and 2 in Tobago. I'm not sure if that's a response to something that was said earlier, but Soul Sanctium, he's got the moderation locked, so he's the guy, he's the person to talk to if you have a question, and I can pick it up from there if it's something that I need to respond to. So interestingly though, Mr. Robert Bidron from the EU mission said that he was not able to comment on what he's observed so far when the media asked him to, give a synopsis as to how he felt so far. But just before that, we were listening to Bruce Golding, who is from the OAS. He's an observer with the Organization of American States, and he was happy to share his view, let us know what he thinks so far. And he did say that everything was going smoothly and that the staff at the polling station that he visited were professional and everything ran according to protocol. Okay, so far so good. If you haven't voted as yet, you still have about 2.5 hours to get to your polling station to vote. Remember, time is of the essence. polls will close at 6 p.m. Guyana time, and you definitely want to get yourself in the door before they close the doors. Remember, you cannot bring your phone with you when you are, accessing the ballots, about to place your X next to your party. You have to place your phone outside of the voting booth in a container. I think they're providing for that, and you certainly are not allowed. You are prohibited under GCOM's rules and policies from taking a photo of your ballot, even doing anything with your phone whilst you are, in the voting process, in the height of the voting process. Okay, so do remember that you don't want to get yourself in trouble with the police or whoever is responsible. I don't think GCOM is directly responsible, because there were some questions asked of GCOM as to whether they were reviewing the case of somebody posted their ballots when the discipline forces voted on, I think it was August 22nd. Someone posted a ballot and it was verified. They verified that was a ballot from the current elections. They weren't able to identify who the individual was, but it was strictly prohibited. And I'm not sure if they're talking about, starting a police case to investigate, but you don't want to become a statistics to be investigated for carrying your phone to the phone booth and, taking a photo to show who you voted for. Okay, so do remember to follow the laws, follow the rules, and everything should be dandy. Hopefully by the end of the day, everything stays calm. When the results are coming out, everything stays calm. We believe in you guys. Okay, you guys can do this. You guys can do this. If your party wins or your party loses, it's so important not to be a sore loser. It's so important to lose with dignity, win with dignity, and it'll be another day in Guyana. Hopefully, we're able to get that information sooner than later, and it's not going to be something like the last election that we're still talking about in 2025 with the alleged, fraud and things like that. So definitely keep that in mind. I'm going to queue up our next video as we bring you the live stream of the Guyana 2025 elections from Guyana, skipping over to different, places to give you an idea as to what's happening and what the leaders are saying, what the international observers are saying, and what the people are saying. We're going to go now to see if we can hear from the Forward Guyana presidential candidate. I believe that's when the Forward Guyana presidential candidate voted. We can hear from the Carter Center. Let's listen to Jason Carter, who's leading the Carter Center election missions to Guyana. That's Jimmy Carter's grandson, the late Jimmy Carter's
Say goodbye to your reading glasses and computer
lenses. So we're
lenses.
going to hear what he has to say.
Introducing the revolutionary autofocus
probably
glasses
skip over
from Germany,
and see what we can hear
designed to change
from the president. We'll head back to
great,
see if we can find Azzuddin Mohammed. I do definitely want to bring you something from Azzuddin Mohammed. Let's see what he has to say about what has transpired so far for today. Let's listen.
Has been here for many elections in this country, and we are honored again to be here. This morning we sent observers into the polling stations in every single region, and this evening we'll have people in every single tabulation center for the next couple of days. And so we feel excellent about our team that's come in, and of course there's a consortium of other international observers that are also here. So we've been coordinating with them as well, and we've had the opportunity to meet with the leadership of a number of the political parties and to be here. Although we have a limited mission, we've been here for some weeks to observe the pre-election process, and we'll be here through the tabulation process. So far, our observers have been well treated, and we are excited about this day. We're not going to draw any conclusions, of course, until after the day is over and then after the tabulation process is complete. We do plan to issue a preliminary statement on Wednesday, September 3rd, where we can reflect on the election day and the tabulation process through then, and then we'd issue a full report once we have a chance to really compile all of the information and observe the full process to its completion. other than that, I'd be happy to answer some questions if anyone has any.
Any issues so far? Any reports of any issues at polling stations?
No, one of the things that's very important for all of us is that we want to make sure we are drawing conclusions based on evidence and not based on rumors. So when we hear things, we try to go see with our own eyes what's happening. So we have thus far only had limited reports even of good things, right? So we haven't had a chance to observe any rumors, but so far so good. It's 8 o'clock or 8:30 in the morning. So, but we expect that today will be a smooth process. Again, our goal is to observe the entire process and then make comments. But also the key to this day is to make sure that everybody in the country is making decisions and conclusions based on evidence and not just rumors.
How many observers Carter Center is fielding?
We have approximately 40 observers, and then coupled with the other international observers, that's a good number of observers. And again, we'll be in every single region, and we'll have all of the tabulation centers covered. And our observers are going to be moving around throughout the day in each of the regions so that we'll have good coverage, we think, throughout the country. And of course, if we hear rumors or reports, we have the opportunity to go and check out some of those potential issues.
In your pre-election report, you expressed concern about, not concern, but called on GCOM for it to detail the tabulation process. Are you satisfied with the explanation given by the Chief Elections Officer, Mr. Vishnu Prasad, detailing that process?
So look, at the end of the day, the law is the law, and the legal framework is provided by this country itself. And so we can make our commentary as it goes, but we've had a great relationship with GCOM. They've been open to us, and they have listened in a variety of contexts to the issues that we've identified, and we feel good that all of the parties are going to be present for the tabulation process. The parties understand well the rules. GCOM's staff understands well the rules, and so we believe that we have no reason to think it's not going to be a smooth process. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Your doc.
All right, guys. So you just heard from Jason Carter giving his feedback on what's happening on the ground. Again, he didn't shy away from giving the country, the nation, an idea as to what he's observed so far, and provide some preliminary information to the reporters, to the media, about what he has observed so far. I still don't know why Robert Bidron from the EU did not want to at least give a synopsis of what was seen. I'm not sure if that's the rules, but if those were the rules, maybe for the EU, but not for the Carter Center or for the OAS. We want to skip over and see what we can bring you from the Win Party, the Win presidential candidate. He spoke with the media earlier today. Of course, he has already voted, and we're going to bring Alrighty, you've just heard from Azruddin Mohammed, the leader of the We Invest in Nationhood Party. According to him, the process was slow this morning when he went out to vote. But yeah, it could be, people are still waking up. Those persons at the polling station, I'm just kidding. they should be ready to go. But we don't know what was the issue, what caused the slow pace at the polling station. But hopefully they've picked up the pace and voters are able to vote, seamlessly as the day goes by. We also needed to we want to hear from the Forward Guyana Movement presidential candidate, Amanza Walton Desert, and we also want to see if we can catch up with the ALP leader, Simona Brooms. So far we've covered 4 parties, having the preliminary idea from them, what they think is happening so far and how they feel so far. So we want to skip over them in the moment, but we want to focus a little bit more on the incumbent People's Progressive Party, because obviously they are the one that is in office, and there's so much has gone on in the last 5 years. Despite that, they have a strong support base. You've seen the rallies, you've seen the turnout. You've seen the rallies and turnout for the APNU as well, regardless of, public sentiments from some section of society that the APNU and the PNCR that party is dead. That party is very much alive. We have seen the support in form of the rallies. Now, the question is, does that translate into actual votes on today? Okay, that's what is important, not the crowd size, not the rallies, not what is said, not what is promised, but what it translates to when you the voters, go to the polls and put your X to whichever party you want to govern Guyana as you continue to grow, as the country's economy continue to grow as a oil producing nation. And there's so much potential, billions and billions of dollars in oil in Guyana, and the potential for Guyana to profit from this massive oil boom. Okay, let me know your thoughts in the comments section. We have Soul Sanctium, who will be moderating for us, and we're going to skip over and see if we can find Amanza Walton Desert to hear from her. But we also want to talk a little bit about the PPP and what they probably need to do to stay in power for another 5 years. Okay, let's see what we got here. Yes. Okay. So let us know if you voted today and if you had any hiccups. There's something from the final takeaway. Let us know what was your experience. Let us know if you're tuning in from Guyana. First of all, if you're voting today, if you have already voted today, what was your experience, and what are your expectations? Are you on edge? Are you hopeful? Are you optimistic? Are you unsure? Are you afraid? What are you feeling right now? Because elections, they do trigger nerves, and it's natural and it's normal. So don't be too hard on yourself if you feel a bit uneasy and you feel a bit unsure. Everything is going to work out the way it should work out, and hopefully by the next couple of days, you guys will know who would be the next president, or the next party ruling, and the president ruling Guyana. Also, as far as GCOM says they were 100% ready for the elections today, so we don't anticipate that there should be any issues. But nothing is perfect. No system is perfect. There are going to be minor hiccups at best, and hopefully nothing serious to cause any issues as we watch and we wait for the results. We did listen to critics. We don't. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So let's skip around and listen to maybe some critical analysis. Okay, let's hop over to our polling station. We're going to visit.
Life's better when your stuff is protected under our roof.
At Vistaprint, we print signs so people can see your brand up close. But we also print signs so that people can see your business.
All right, guys. Let's kind of skip over to Irfan Ali. I'm not sure if you heard this, but he delivered a message to the nation. I think it was a day ago. But if you haven't heard it, let's skip back over to Ali and hear what he said in his message. This important message to the nation as the people headed out to vote today, letting them know. Well, let's listen and hear what he had to say.
My fellow Guyanese, on Monday, the 1st of September, the people of our beloved country will once again journey to the polls to exercise their sacred right to vote in national and regional elections. The right to freely and fairly elect a government of one's choice is the very lifeblood of democracy. It is the solemn instrument through which we, the people, give direction to our nation's course and determine the leadership that will, over the next 5 years, guide our destiny. This right to elect our government and representatives of our National Assembly and regional democratic councils was not handed down without cost. It was earned through the sacrifice of those who struggled for our independence, who labored for our freedoms, and who in times past stood firm against efforts to deny our voice. To neglect this right is to dishonor their sacrifice. To surrender it carelessly is to imperil our sovereignty. Therefore, I urge every Guyanese, wherever you reside, whomever you support, whatever your station in life, to go forth on Monday and cast your ballot. Do so with confidence, do so with dignity, and do so in a manner befitting a proud and free people. Vote free from fear, vote free from intimidation, vote with assurance that your choice is yours alone, and that the right of your neighbor to make his or her choice is to be respected as zealously as your own. It is our solemn duty to respect each other's choice, but even more so, to respect the collective will of the people. Elections should not be a contest to divide us, but a mechanism to unify us under the banner of democratic sovereignty. When the ballots are counted and the results declared, let us not allow bitterness, enmity, or disappointment to stain the process. Let us not allow divisiveness, hatred, or suspicion to corrode the bonds
of fraternity that binds us as one nation. Instead, let peace and good order characterize these elections, as they must characterize the life of our republic. And when the results are known and the nation turns its face towards the future, we must be prepared to set aside narrow partisan differences and join hands in the service of the common good. The conduct of these elections must set the tone for what is to follow: a spirit of collaboration, a willingness to compromise, a dedication to national development, and a renewed commitment to the unity and harmony of our people. Elections are not an end in themselves. They represent a beginning for collective action to advance Guyana's promise. Our law enforcement agencies have assured us that they stand vigilant, ready to safeguard the peace and to preserve order. They have pledged to respond firmly and condignly to any threat of disruption. And I have every confidence in their capacity to secure the stability of our land. Yet, I submit that the greater responsibility lies not with them, but with us, all of us. Peace will prevail not because it is enforced, but because it is embraced. I therefore appeal to every citizen, and particularly to our political leaders and activists, to act responsibly in word and deed. Let us avoid inflammatory rhetoric. Let us respect the rules of the electoral process. Let us temper our passion and allow good sense and decency to guide our actions. The eyes of the world are upon us. But more importantly, the hopes of our children are vested in us. Let us not disappoint them. Let us give them the example of a people who can disagree without discord, who can contest without contempt, and who can choose without chaos. I urge that through our actions, we ensure that these elections are peaceful and orderly, that our democracy once more prevails with honor, and that our motherland emerge stronger and more united. May God bless our people, safeguard our democracy, and guide our beloved Guyana. I thank you.
So that was His Excellency, the President of Guyana, Dr. Irfan Ali, giving the nation his address. It's what should I say? It's traditional for the incumbent president to give that address the night before the election. So this is a traditional thing, wishing the people well, encouraging you to go out and vote your choice, vote your conscience. He says to respect each other's choice and the collective will of the people. In other words, you understand, no matter what happened today, it would be the people. The people's voice would be heard as to who they want to govern Guyana for the next 5 years. We do know that this administration has come in for a lot of flack, a lot of criticisms. Of course, there's a lot of positive things that were done under this administration. No administration, nowhere in the world is perfect. You will see the good, the bad, the ugly. However, at the end of the day, it's you, the voters, who have to weigh all of these things, so to speak, and determine if the PPP should have another term, another chance to govern this country. And maybe, and of course, we're not only talking about their support base. There are going to be voters that are crossing over from other parties, like they may be voters crossing over from the PPP over to maybe the APNU or the WIN party. So this is going to happen. But the question, what we will find out, is whether there were large droves of people migrating from the PPP crossing over to the WIN party or the APNU party or the Forward Guyana, the ALP, the Alliance for Change. That's what can make a difference. So even if these parties are pulling votes from each other, how much that will be the determining factor as to whether or not the PPP goes back into office with a landslide victory. They potentially can get back in office with a coalition, but and people have mentioned it. We wanted to make a video about that too. There is still a possibility, and I know this is like a wild card. Okay, I'm going to throw this out there. There is no telling. Do not rule out that if there is need for a coalition government, that a party can collate with the PPP to get them back in power. Do not rule that out. So far, it seems everyone is running independently, but we don't know what backdoor deals and talks have been happening. Okay, so be open-minded is what I'm saying. Be open-minded, because this election, the results and the end result and how it turns out, it could very well be some surprises. Okay, we don't know if other opposition parties also have been secretly agreeing to form a coalition after the election. So those are the things that we're going to be tracking after the polls have closed, and we are starting to hear from Guyana, out of Guyana, what are some of the issues that could arise after, of course, the polls, the ballots are counted and the results start to come out. We want to head over to Forward Guyana. We want to hear from Amanzo Walton Desire. And again, we are bipartisan at the final takeaway. We don't have any skin in the game, dog in the race, whatever they say. We're not choosing sides. We want to show you everything, everybody, hear from everyone, so you can make up your own mind. But I will say that it was disheartening for the Forward Guyana movement and for its supporters and voters that were going to vote for the party in these regions where the ballots that were supposed to arrive in those regions for the Forward Guyana, they were not on the ballots. So in some sense, the Forward Guyana movement, that was a hard blow to the Forward Guyana movement. We don't think that has happened to any other party. We don't want to say it could be intentional. But why the Forward Guyana party? Why this happened to the Forward Guyana party and not any other party that's contesting this election? That's the key question to ask yourself. And we want you to engage in critical thinking here, okay? We want you to look at all the facts and come up with your own understanding of what might be happening here, okay? Now, the party, well, they initiated a case in court trying to stop the elections today so that the court could rule in favor of the FGM party to allow the party's name to be on those ballots where it was excluded. But the court dismissed the case on Friday, I believe it was. And so ultimately, voters in those regions are not going to be able to vote for the Forward Guyana party, okay? You can tell me what you think about that. But let's bring in Amanzo Walton Desire. Let's see what we got from her. And then we can probably speak some more on what's happening with. Well, she did say the leader, Amanzo Walton Desire, promised to take this case up, to appeal this case and appeal it all the way to the Caribbean Court of Justice for a final decision. So we don't know how that's going to turn out, but we're going to be keeping a close eye on that to see what is the outcome with that. You do know that Amanzo was with the Partnership for National Unity, the APNU, but she stepped away from the party and she formed her own party, and this is a brand new party, so we don't know yet how much of a dent this party can do in terms of pulling votes from the other parties, but we'll have to wait and see how this party performs, because it does have its supporters. from across the country. Let's go back here. Okay. Also, I want to queue up a little. Oh, yes, we have to look for Win as well. I want to hear from. We did hear from Win. He did say that the polls were slow this morning. So, guys, hang tight. We're going to queue up the next video for you. Let's see what's happening in the comment section. We have Irfan Ali all the way. Stationary events says Irfan Ali all the way. Orlean Vanessa, God's with you, President Ali. Stationary event says who's winning currently. Well, we don't know who's winning currently. We don't have access to that information. No one is supposed to have access to that information. So if you hear anything that this party is winning or who's ahead, no one should know that information at this point, because the polls have not closed as yet, and that needs to happen before we can start hearing about Case Analytica. I'm not sure if the case was dismissed with prejudice or without prejudice, but I do know that it's not completely over. The Forward Guyana movement is planning on appealing this case locally and then all the way to the Caribbean Court of Justice if that becomes necessary. We also have who we have in here. Okay, so okay, well, a lot of sentiments from we have somebody in here from Trinidad and Tobago. We have a lot of people. Let me see who else I need to respond to. Just a quick response to you guys. We appreciate your support. And I'll tell you this. So we have a large following, okay? We have viewers from all over the world. And when I say that in the videos, we're not making that up. Believe you me. Our viewers, the top countries that the viewers come from are, you guessed right, Guyana. So we have the largest following from Guyana, people who actually live in Guyana. Then the next largest following are viewers and subscribers from the United States. We imagine that they might be Guyanese who live in the United States. We do have a large following. I think the third largest following is coming out of either Trinidad and Tobago or Suriname, okay? We know that Guyanese live in Trinidad and Tobago. We know that Guyanese live in Suriname and other Caribbean countries. We do have a sizable following from the United Kingdom, Jamaica, Barbados. Did I say Barbados? Yes, Guyanese again in Barbados. We know, more than likely, because most of our coverage is on issues and events and news in Guyana. And we really, we don't take you for granted, okay? Now, sometimes, we have one or two people who come in there and, want to make some mischief. But the important thing is to comment on the issue on our videos. If you want to feedback from us directly, just at the final takeaway, direct your question to us. We would happily come into the comment section and respond to your question or your comment. That if you want to have some more information or you want to share your ideas with us, okay, definitely do that. But the important thing is to attack the issue, not the person, not the moderator, not the reporter, not the announcer, narrator, whatever you guys call our people that, come on here and bring the news to you, the analysis, and the content. So we want to just remind you of that, because we want to engage with you. We want to have utmost participation, but at the same time we have to keep it professional. Okay, we all have our opinions. We're not here to. Well, sometimes we have the opinion podcast on the podcast. So we have the final takeaway where it's more like newsy, and we have the podcast. And for those of you who have been following us closely lately, we have been doing a lot of podcasts, because what that does, it allows us to kind of be more conversational with you and to have your input and to break things down a little bit more for you, so that we all can leave with a greater understanding of the issue, and we really go deep because we do the research. We want to make sure when we bring you information, we're bringing you factual information, not hearsay, not things like that. So because we pride ourselves in being a professional channel. Now our channel isn't perfect, we're still growing. If you have any ideas, any feedback for us, please do email us at thefinaltakeaway@gmail.com. That's thefinaltakeaway@gmail.com, and we are going to respond to you because our team, we get on our emails right away. Okay. Good afternoon, watching from Canada. We're hearing from 786 Rax. Hi, good afternoon, watching from Canada. Welcome, Canada is in the house. Who's winning? C Mango 123. We don't know who's winning. Like, we want to know that too, because everybody's watching and waiting. That's what we're here for. We don't know who's winning. We're basically kind of just walking you through some of the things that happened earlier today, kind of skip across to different videos and, give you an idea as to what's the feeling in Guyana. But right now, everything seems to be cool and calm, which is good. No news is good news. So we don't know who's winning, but we will know pretty soon. We have Fruitful Case Analytica. Thank you so much for saying that. She or he says fruitful engagement, or I have to say they, because now I can't be, gender. I have to say they, he, she, they. Okay. We respect everyone who's in here. Case Analytica says you only know exit polling in the US, not the actual voting results throughout the day. Just an FYI, of course. So guess what? Thanks for that. I'm going to check to see if we have any exit polls that have been published so far. I'm going to see if I can get that and definitely provide that information to you. So let me get a video up for you guys. Let's see what else has been happening. And while we do that, I'm going to hunt for some exit polls. And I'm going to bring that information to you ASAP. Okay. We know who's winning. Okay. Well. Okay. We don't know. Gender neutral. Yes, of course. Of course, we have to play it safe on here and make sure that we cover everybody. Don't exclude anybody because on the basis of, their preferences. Okay. So let's find you a video. Let's find us a video that we can watch. I was trying to, one moment. Let's see.
What a dental assistant does is
to it.
So guys, yes, I want to bring you something from Amanda from the case, the results of the case you will hear for the Forward Guyana movement. I'm going back to that because, it's really sad, honestly. We don't want to have an opinion, but it's really sad that this party was disenfranchised like this. If you are a supporter of the Forward Guyana movement, this party has been disenfranchised. Let's call it for what it is. Let's not sugarcoat this thing, okay? And you'll hear from the counsel, the attorney for FGM, who spoke with the media right after the case was dismissed. So let's hear what he has to say.
Ever
okay?
dreamed of leaving the ground level life behind? At U.S. Aviation Academy, your first takeoff happens on day one.
afternoon.
Williams, are you surprised by today's ruling?
I am disappointed by the ruling because the effect of the ruling is to diminish inclusive participation in the democracy of our country, and the Constitution specifically states that the principal purpose is to further and deepen participation of people in democracy. The interpretation given by the court to the Constitution and the representation of the People's Act would have that effect. Upon that basis, given what we think is the ruling that is inconsistent with the proper reading of the Constitution and a proper reading of the representation of the People's Act, I have been authorized by my client to inform you that the ruling shall be appealed on all grounds, and that we expect that appeal shall be filed, if not by this evening, by tomorrow, but surely within days. And we would elaborate further. We think that the ruling today, if stands, would be a defeat for citizens' participation in the democracy of the country. It would be a great blow for our brothers and sisters who live in hinterland regions and therefore will have a citizenship, an entitlement to democratic participation that is inferior to that residents in the coastal regions have. Upon that basis, this issue is so important that we think that it should be pronounced on by the final court of this country, and that would be the CCJ. So the appeals process commences. And thank you very much. And I also want to say that citizens favor by stepping forward to ask that the court makes this issue and this question clear to not only citizens who vote, but those who wish to enter the political contest as
implications for the ordinary average Guyanese. What do I mean by that? His Honor took pains to emphasize the importance of casting the vote in the geographic constituency. But importantly, we are of the firm view that geographic constituency requirement.
What if you can create your own website by saying, "This is what I want"? With Wix, you can.
Is physical in, not the qualitative component of it as in for the seat. Because every Guyanese knows that you cast your vote in a particular geographic region because you are physically there, and that is where your name is allotted. Let me bring this to its logical conclusion. I live on the quarantine, for example. My family is there, my house is there, there is where I'm registered, but I am transferred to Region 9 because of my job. I'm a teacher, for example. Taking the Chief Justice's utterances to its logical conclusion would mean that if I am to transfer from Region 6, or let's say even Georgetown Region 4, to Region 9, that I will not have qualitatively the same access to the menu of parties on the ballot. So therefore, I should not transfer. So therefore, when polling day comes, when voting day comes, I need to make arrangements, whether by rail or train, well not rail, whether by trail or plane, to fly out here to vote. That is what that means when it's saying to its logical conclusion. So I'm afraid that His Honor, in seeking to achieve a particular result, has more than complicated and overturned a number of the positions taken by his predecessors as it relates to certain requirements. And this is what happens when you
appear to be hell-bent on a particular course of action. So what that means, essentially, ladies and gentlemen, is that maybe you shouldn't take a transfer to a place that it is more convenient for you to cast your ballot in. Because if I transfer from region 4 to region 9, then all the parties will not appear in the ballot. Whereas, if our simple interpretation of what the law is saying, in that if you meet a minimum of 6, you should be entered into in all of the regions, it would make sense. Because by moving from an area that people will, or that it is easy logistically to compete in, given maybe resource constraints, etc., that voters probably should not do that, because it will mean that they will not have the quality of say in their political process had they stayed registered here. And that is the implication of what the Chief Justice has decided, and I don't think respectfully His Honor took that to its logical conclusion, so we have to file an appeal. The second issue is the issue of costs. In Christopher Jones' case, which was recently handed down by the by the Supreme Court of Justice, the court was clear. The issue of costs, as it relates to constitutional matters,
so, show of hands if you think that this party was disenfranchised. Like, basically, as I would say, they did her wrong. Do you think they did her wrong, her party? Let me know in the comment section. We do want to hear from Amanza. We want to hear from her. She did speak to the press earlier today. Let's see if we can locate that video right now for you so that you can, hear what she had to say as she exited the polling station after voting earlier today. Okay, let's see what we have over here. We're going to go over here and see if we can find that video. Yep. Okay. No. Okay. Alrighty. So let's talk a little bit about, as we queue up the next video, let's talk a little bit about, do you think that this is a three-way race? Now, for the most part, that's the general sentiment, that this election is a three-way race, meaning, really and truly, there are only 3 parties that matter, but all the parties matter. But that's what the general sentiment here is, because of crowd size. And yes, let's say crowd size. Okay, we have the PPP, we have the APNU, and we have WIN. Those 3 parties have been cited as the 3 main contenders. Okay, not that we're minimizing the input or the importance of the other parties, because they matter too, and they can help to splinter the votes, taking votes from the ruling political party. How much of a dent it's going to make, it's another question. So there is this, according to Al Jazeera, the three-way race is between President Irfan Ali of the PPP, Aubrey Norton of the PNCR, and billionaire Azzuddin Mohammed of the We Invest in Nationhood Party, WIN. People in Guyana are voting for a president and members of parliament who will be watching over billions of dollars in oil revenue, offshore production with a United States-led international consortium, ExxonMobil, and tensions with Venezuela. And that's important, border security is one of the important issues people may be considering when voting, putting aside voting along party lines. I'm not sure, and you can tell us, has Guyana come to a place where people are actually voting on policies and what's important, like border security and decreasing the cost of living? People have got to live. Now, as the cost of living rises in Guyana, those who are, and your salary isn't going up, you're getting paid the same thing. I mean, how do you cope? How do people cope? Especially the small man, the ordinary citizens who are living from paycheck to paycheck. And when the prices are going up and the size of your check isn't increasing, the math isn't mathing. Okay, so those are the people that our hearts go out to, because they're the ones who are feeling the squeeze when they're hoping that a government will do something to bring down the cost of living, but apparently it's going up. And I've recently looked at a report that showed by how much percentage the cost of living went up in the last 5 years, and it's no joke. It's no joke. People are feeling the squeeze, so to speak. So yes. So we have that. We have border security, tensions with Venezuela. Do you think that the PPP government is the government that could protect the Guyanese, protect the nation when it comes to keeping Venezuela out of Essequibo? Do you think that this is the government that is the most capable of protecting the nation? Now, we know that there's a lot of leaning on the U.S., but let me tell you something. Okay, the United States promised to watch Guyana's back, protect them from Maduro, the Maduro regime, or Venezuela, whichever government comes in after Maduro and still want to, run after Essequibo. Okay, so, however, the United States, they have deployed their military in Venezuela. And of course, there's all these theories that it's trying to stop the drug trade, clamp down on the narcotics trade, blah, 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 blah. But there's also the other theories coming from the leaders in Latin America that this could be a covert way of trying to invade Venezuela, invade Latin America for their resources. Now, it's a theory. Who's to say that the United States can't try that with any other country that has oil? Right. You can put the pieces together, okay? So all of this belief that, the United States has got our back, we don't have to worry about anything. The United States serves itself. We all know that. It serves itself, okay? So we have to make sure, well, not we, but the nation has to consider these critical, crucial issues when they're determining who will protect Guyana and the citizens when push come to shove. So you let us know in the comment section what you think about this particular political establishment relying heavily on the United States to have their back should Venezuela try something. And we already know that Venezuela's army, the military, the police, the civilian army, they've got 15 million? I think maybe it's a lot. But the last time we checked, all of their armed forces, whether it's a civilian or the military, the police combined, they exceed the number of combined military force in the United States. So that's interesting, and we want to keep an eye on that as well. We want to provide some coverage on that as well, as far as how it may affect Guyana, because you guys are right across the border and things could start spilling over to that end, even though the U.S. is really targeting, according to their press, targeting Venezuela and its cartel. Okay, so today, over 750,000 registered voters will have until 6 p.m. today, on Monday today, to cast their ballots at some 2,800 polling stations. 6 parties are participating in the election to fight for the presidency and the seats in the 65-member parliament. But it is effectively a 3-way race between President Irfan Ali of the People's Progressive Party, the PPP, Aubrey Norton of the People's National Congress Reform, the PNCR. He's also the leader of the APNU, which, came together. And billionaire Azzuddin Mohammed, who started his We Invest in Nationhood party just a few months ago. And let me tell you something, the numbers don't lie. To challenge the two-party status quo, okay? Show of hands if you think it's about time that somebody else came in and just break up that momentum, just break up that status quo and give those two parties, the main party and the opposition party, a run for their votes. Show of hands if you think that Mohammed is doing well. Now all the parties are doing well. They all have their following, okay? We don't have any selection. We're just bringing the news to you, and we're just telling you what we see and what we're hearing from political analysts and experts and those people crunching the numbers. Billionaire Mohammed means to disrupt the system and has garnered some young backers of his own. But he is shunned by the United States because of the sanctions. Let me know if you think the sanctions is going to prevent the voters from voting for Mohammed today. And maybe you're one of them. Maybe you voted for Win on the sly, but you don't want to tell us, okay? But it's okay. You could share your secret with us. We're not going to tell anybody. It's all right. It's our secret. So yes, so he, Azudin Mohammed was sanctioned along with his father, Nizar Mohammed, for alleged criminal activities, including gold smuggling, money laundering, intention to corrupt, and tax evasion. And again, there remain allegations. He was never, as far as we know, arrested and charged or incarcerated or tried in a court of law for these allegations. So one is innocent until proven guilty. In a democracy like the United States, like Guyana, innocent until proven guilty. So as far as his voters go, he's innocent until proven guilty. Where's the evidence? And again, who set up the Mohammeds? Okay? Who leaked? Who snitched on the Mohammeds? Whether or not it's true, who spoke to Reuters? Reuters say, which is the news publication that first brought out the report that the Mohammeds were going to be under investigation by the United States. Someone had to tip off Reuters, and Reuters did say in its report that the people that they were speaking with, their sources, were at least 1 to 2 government officials, okay? So you let us know what you think about that, and whether you think that's going to prevent people from going out voters.